Hi, everybody, and welcome to our last flipped classroom. Today, we're going to talk about the Red Scare specifically within the union movement. And Red Scare and McCarthyism are terms we're going to use interchangeably. The main weapon used against unions during the McCarthy era was the Taft-Hartley Act of 1947. It was part of a larger effort to undermine the power of unions by Republican lawmakers. With the influence of President Franklin Roosevelt, who supported unions, and favorable work conditions during World War II, union membership had grown to 25% of the labor force. Taft-Hartley took power away from unions. The part of the law that reflected the Red Scare required union members to sign affidavits saying they were not Communist Party members. This section was very damaging to the CIO because so many effective leaders in the CIO were communists. The CIO holds out for a couple of years, hoping that the hysteria of McCarthyism will die down. It doesn't, and they are forced to expel communists from the organization or risk the survival of the CIO. So, because so few people stood up to McCarthyism, the few that did paid a very heavy price. The CIO had great difficulty getting rid of communist influence within their unions. There were 16 pro-communist unions in the Federation, and let me explain what I mean by pro-union. That did not mean that the rank-and-file members were communists. That meant that the 16 unions that were pro-communist had communists in leadership positions. And in only 3 of the 16 pro-communist unions was the CIO successful in getting rank-and-file members to vote their leaders out. So the rank and file in those pro-communist unions did stand up against McCarthyism. They said, I'm not a communist, but I know these people have done a good job for this, and I'm not voting them out of office because the rest of the country has gone crazy. So what happens is that the CIO is like a doctor who has to cut off your arm to save the rest of your body. The CIO cannot convince the rank and file to vote the pro-communist union officers out, so they expel the entire union. This is a major disaster for the labor movement. It effectively eliminates left-wing influence within unions. 11 pro-communist unions are expelled. One of these is United Electrical Workers, which is the third largest union in the CIO with 600,000 members. In all, 1 million union members are expelled from the CIO, and these purges, which is a term we usually associate with the Soviet Union, but it's appropriate here, take place at the CIO conventions in 1949 and 1950. The CIO survives. So anti-communism continues to define the labor movement even after the McCarthy period ends. In the 1980s, the United Auto Workers still have a clause prohibiting communists from holding office. Before the purges, the UAW had had significant number of communists in their organization. Walter Reuther, who rises to head the UAW, is successful in rising because he's charging his opponents, who are admittedly farther to the left than he is, but they're not communists. He's accusing them of being communists. Later, large numbers of union members support Richard Nixon, who is anti-union, because he is also anti-communist. So that's it. Go to Edmodo, answer the questions, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.